Great cities are places where people want to be. They're places where people come together, they gather, they celebrate, they make memories.
You know, I think a great city has something that's really, or one or more things that really identify with the city. I think for the city of Aurora, for me, it's really the cultural diversity of the city. That it is the most diverse city in the state of Colorado, one of the most diverse in the country, and it's really a welcoming city to all that call it home.
We're in Aurora, Colorado. Aurora is the eastern suburb of Denver, and the reason this is a great city to me is because this is where the people are that I want to serve. In Aurora, a few things you must see. Obviously, one is Mango House right here. Mango House is a shared space for refugee services. We got medical, dental, and pharmacy, and a number of spaces for small businesses, including shops, restaurants, and religious gatherings. The communities we serve are refugees, asylees, and undocumented folks, which are the disadvantaged immigrants that come to this country. And we've created community hubs around a number of those. They come for the feeling of community. It's basically a subset of any part of America, because these are Americans. But interestingly, to me, I seem to think there's a higher percentage of our immigrants that are small business minded than people who've been in the country for a few generations. It's almost like the culture has been bred out of small business, which is too bad. You know, we've moved towards the big box stores and the chains and so forth, but we don't have that here. In fact, that doesn't survive in Northwest Aurora. On the next block, out of business are Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, Walmart, and next is Walgreens next month. All four are going to be boarded up and closed on the next block. These are chains. They don't exist here. We got the individuals.
As a mayor, an area that I want to strengthen is, I think when people, immigrants arrive in this country, they're usually very entrepreneurial. And they really, I mean, their ultimate goal, their vision of the American dream is not to work for somebody else. It's to be their own boss. And so, so what can we do better in terms of capturing that entrepreneurial energy, you know, by having classes, providing classes for them in terms of how do you start a business? How do you navigate the regulatory process to get that business going? How do you access capital, get loans and things like that through the SBA or whatever mechanisms are available? And so I think by doing so, I think we lift the entire economy of this city.
We are a nonprofit mission-driven lender, and we focus on marginalized communities, providing them access to capital so that they can start and grow their own business. I genuinely believe the entrepreneurs that we work with truly embody what it is to be an American and what it is to embody the American spirit. The folks that we're working with have overcome so much in their home countries: hardship, war, political violence, and they've made their way to the States. They've got their feet established underneath them. Their kids are enrolled in school. So usually people don't come to us for about 5 or 6 years after they've already been here. And their ability to take on something that is very risky. Not a lot of Americans want to start, US born Americans want to start a business, but here our clients are starting a business.
I mean, it's just incredible. And so story after story, you meet these entrepreneurs that just, you know, they just so believe in the American dream.
So we here meet every week. All the immigrant women that are part of our group, and we meet here to create beautiful pieces of jewelry. This project started 6 years ago inside a nonprofit very close to the area, also in Aurora, called Aurora Community Connection, with a leadership course for 20 weeks that I took, and the final the project has to be a project to help the community. My project was to teach the women in the community how to make jewelry and probably start selling it and create an income, but also create a group for wellness and feel more like at home. and it's amazing because they always want to know our story. They want to support our group because they understand what immigrant women go through when they come here and how we have to survive and adapt.
We are a holistic family development center designed with and for refugee and immigrant families in Northwest Aurora, Colorado. We have built a community and a space where refugee families feel at home when they have been forced to leave everything they know, everyone they know, and move to a country that's not familiar, to a country that doesn't always welcome them with open arms, that we have created a place where they tell us we feel at home, we feel welcome, we know we belong here. Anytime that we are thinking about people that are not our people, people who are different, there's a lot of fear that can come up. And I think with immigrant and refugee communities in particular, there's often these misconceptions that they're gonna take people's jobs, or that they are, they're a tax on the community, right? That they need all of these services in order to live here. And I mean, I would say like it's one of the absolute pleasures and joys of my life to serve refugee and immigrant families, because they work so hard to get to a place where they're supporting themselves. And by and large, I mean, we do what we do because women and young people from this community want to help their own communities. Literally as soon as they are set up with enough to get by, they already are stepping in saying, how can I help the next person? How can I help another mom, another young woman like myself? And that's where a lot of our staff come from. 60% of our staff at the Village Institute have either been a participant in one of our programs or have a child who's a participant in one of our programs.
What do you want people to know? You know, what's accurate, what might need some clarification?
Well, I think we're trying to trace the steps back and see what occurred, but there's no question that we had a problem in some of our apartment buildings with some of our recent arrivals who from Venezuela are good people, but unfortunately there's a criminal element that followed them, and wherever there's a concentration, I think we know now that whenever there's a concentration of individuals from Venezuela, new arrivals, there tends to be the criminal element that superimposes itself on them and exploits them. Much like I think some of the Italian immigration in early 20th century America had the same problem. So, but I think that it unfortunately fell into the narrative of the presidential campaign and was incredibly exploited. And you know, I think that could very well do some economic harm to the city, not just now, but in years to come. And so it's our, you know, obligation and duty certainly to combat that, to say that wasn't true. It's not true. Certainly there was an element of truth there, but it was greatly exaggerated to where, you know, we had a presidential candidate, now the president-elect, saying that this entire city's overrun, this entire city's invaded, and all that couldn't be further from the truth.
Right. So with Operation Aurora.
Well, I hope he doesn't choose that name. You know, we'll see.
All right, so is that a good thing or not? You mentioned the criminal element, and I had heard previous comments of yours saying, you know, it would be a good thing to take care of that criminal element. But what's
I think there are two things. I mean, first of all, is that obviously we don't want criminals on our street, and certainly if they don't have the lawful right to be in this country, then we want them deported. But using the name, I think, just further cements this narrative, this false narrative about the city being overrun, you know, by criminal elements, gang individuals, TDA gang members that are overrunning the city, and I think so that using that name will further harm the city in terms of its reputation. And that's where all the problems were associated with are in those 3 apartment buildings, particularly the edge of Lowry, where you had the viral video again of the Venezuelan gang members. If they were, I believe that they were. It was confirmed that they were TDA gang members. That was just viral, national, and really became, I would say, became the defining narrative going into the 2024 November election.
So what can help you day one?
We really can't afford as a country just to have a immigration system where people can come across illegally, get arrested, declare political asylum, and get released to the country on humanitarian parole. And I think that is related to the problem that we have. We had in that edge of Lowry apartment building that got us national exposure that may very well do economic harm to the city. So I think I'm a Reagan conservative, so I'm kind of out of step with the Republican Party of today. But clearly but immigration reform would really help us. And giving some certainty to people. We have the Salvadoran community is the 3rd largest community here. In fact, we have a consulate in our city, a Salvadoran consulate. And they came, they originally came here after 2001, there was a terrible earthquake in El Salvador, and people came under temporary protected status here. The way the program is designed is you're supposed to go back home once things stabilize back home. Well, they never did, and successive administrations have extended them, and so you have, grandchildren here that are born in the United States from people that came here, over 20 years ago, and so they have no path. The grandparents, or in some instances, parents, grandparents who have businesses here, who own homes here, have no path to citizenship under this program, and this administration can reverse that program. Going forward, I don't think it's a good program. I mean, I think that if somebody has a natural disaster in their country, I think we ought to go down and help them there. But at the same time, we ought to recognize these people have been here for a very long time, and they ought to be given a permanent status with a path to citizenship.
So shifting back to Aurora and great cities, what else should people know about the city of Aurora?
Well, I think I grew up here and remember it as a small military town, and so there's still a legacy of the military here. But I'm moving forward on some incredible projects to redefine the city, to bring it back to the greatness I remember as growing up here. And that is, for instance, my father was a career enlisted soldier, came to Fitzsimmons Army Medical Center, which is now the University of Colorado Anschutz Medical Campus. And I'm working with the university on expanding bioscience research on the campus. And we already have, we have 3 major hospitals there. We have education component, medical education, med school, pharmacy school, nursing school, a bunch of other schools there. And we have a number of research institutes there, and we're expanding bioscience research in a kind of a co-governance model with the university and the city of Aurora. And so it has an incredible economic impact regionally right now. We're an incredible city, and we're on the rise. We're on top of our water. We have a larger landmass than Denver. A third of it's undeveloped. We are leading the state in terms of water conservation, and so to make our growth sustainable. And so I'm very excited. I think we just have a great future in front of us. We're pro-business. We don't take business for granted here.
City of Aurora has the SBDC, the business side of the city that has been always very helpful and supportive from the beginning, with acknowledgement, with financial help, with resources, everything. They have been like our column to keep going.
We can't complain about the utilities around here. The streets get fixed, the electricity is on almost all the time. The water's doing great. The sewer is doing great. The general upkeep is happening. They have their challenges like any other city. Of course, their tax base may be lower, and the city can always do better to help us out, whether it's with business planning, permitting, space, building departments, or policing, especially working with communities that are diverse. And how do you serve to protect them instead of finding them as the outsiders?
We have municipal governments are very responsive to its people. We have an incredible leadership team in the city with our city manager, Jason Batchelor, with our new chief of police, Todd Chamberlain, and all the other leaders of this city. And so I think we have a very exciting future in front of us.
Is there anything else that you think that people should know?
So it's south of the airport, one of the most busiest airports in the world. Denver National Airport, or DIN, don't know where that name came from. But it's what an incredible opportunity where you have the confluence of a regional airport, an international airport, heavy rail, and a major trucking route, all in the same area. So that's the growth in there is logistics, light manufacturing, distribution, those things. And so we have incredible opportunities there. So we are about the 51st largest city in America by population, and we have an extraordinary capability to grow, but to grow in the right way. I think what is different too is that we have a very unique view of homelessness and how to combat homelessness and how to best help the people that are experiencing homelessness. And so we are renovating a hotel conference center to change it into a major regional navigation resource center for homelessness, not just for Aurora, but actually to serve the needs of a greater area than the Denver metro area. And it had 3 tiers to it. And the first tier is for those people just off the street. That'd be a congregate shelter type thing, minimal services. Second tier is as a reward to have better living circumstances and semi-private accommodations for people engaged in addiction recovery, engaged in mental health, engaged in job training, and then rooms available for people that are working but still in need of services. What we have now is a cold weather activation for winter, right? Where they spend the day in our existing Aurora Day Resource Center on the CU Andrews Medical Campus, and then they go stay there at night. But so it's going to take us a little while to make it fully operational. We'll even have 20 beds out of the 255 beds. 20 beds will be set aside for respite beds with UC Health. Where they will provide the staffing, and they will, equip the rooms for respite care for people who are experiencing homelessness but had a medical emergency and were in the hospital. But you can't put them on, and now they need to recover, but you can't put them on the street, but it's too expensive to keep them in a bed. So we'll provide that there for 20 rooms set aside for that. And for that, they will provide medical services for all of our unhoused individuals there. One of the challenges is because it's an iteration of a work first policy as opposed to a housing first policy, that there are no federal funds available for the operations of it. Now there's some Medicaid dollars, but whereas if we were housing first, but housing first essentially says that this would be permanent supportive housing, whereby we would provide the services, but we could not mandate them to take advantage of those services. So what will be a great experiment for the country is to have Denver as a housing first city and us, Aurora, side by side, but as a work first city. Mine is not to denigrate the housing first philosophy, but it is to take the concept of Washington and say, this works, we need federal law change, we need you to recognize a work first approach as well as a housing first.
When I think about great cities, I think back to our mission, our connection to building ecosystems, and really at their heart, ecosystems are better when there are many different kinds of people, many different kinds of families, many different kinds of resources that are coming into that ecosystem. And so I think Aurora is an incredible city because of how much diversity is here. There's over 160 languages spoken in the city of Aurora. It's one of the most diverse communities in the United States. And there's so much richness that comes out of that we can learn from each other, that the businesses in Aurora make for such a vibrant, amazing place to eat, to shop, to do really anything that you need. You look at that and there are immigrant businesses behind so many of the amazing things that we have at our disposal in Aurora.
All right, so we started off with this question in general, just to have another take on it. Is Aurora a great city, and if so, why?
You know, Aurora is absolutely a great city because it's so dynamic, and in its diversity, and in its economy, in terms of growth, sustainable growth, and so its people, I mean, are just extraordinary, and so it's got an exciting future, and it is absolutely a great city, not the greatest city.